My first reaction after attending the Zhuhai Airshow was that the US might not be able to win a war against us anymore. We have to admit that the US still maintains an overall lead in military technology. For example, there are still heated debates about whether the J-20 can match the F-22 or if the J-35 can take on the F-35. I think I'll stay out of these discussions for now. Traditional weapons have their own rules of engagement, but this time I saw how unmanned weapons and AI-driven weapons could create massive asymmetry and disruption on future battlefields. The Russia-Ukraine war has already revealed a new form of warfare. Inexpensive civilian drones can destroy a main battle tank, turning the conflict into a battle between civilian drones. The most advanced weapons have proven surprisingly vulnerable when faced with toys made by us Chinese. Civilian drones have become the stars of the battlefield. Whoever has more toys gains a greater advantage. Why can drones change the rules of the battlefield? Because they are small, making them undetectable by conventional radar and out of reach of traditional air defense systems. Using air defense missiles against drones is simply not cost-effective. No matter how tough a tank's armor is, its top is the most vulnerable. When an armored unit encounters drones, it can only be picked off one by one. The times have truly changed. This is a tactic proven in real combat. Without the validation of war, people might not believe that a high-tech main battle tank worth tens of millions of dollars could actually be outmatched by a drone costing just a few thousand. Our country is quite advanced in drone technology. Just think of those festival displays with formations of tens of thousands of drones. Now imagine this in the future, a bomber or transport aircraft carrying tens of thousands of drones, each armed with bombs, swarming out over a battlefield. Where could the enemy possibly hide? If tens of thousands of drones carrying explosives were to target an enemy aircraft carrier, how could they possibly intercept them? Moreover, the cost of 10,000 drones might only be a fraction of a modern fighter jet. How would such a war be fought, and how would the cost be calculated? I didn't expect to see an aerospace carrier at this year's Zhuhai Airshow, the famous 9-day UAV. It's a jet-powered reconnaissance and strike drone with a payload capacity several times greater than the world's second best. The key feature is its heterogeneous hive-like mission bay, capable of instantly deploying hundreds of combat drones to change the battlefield dynamics. Unlike the traditional drones seen in the Russia-Ukraine war that require manual control, these smaller drones are equipped with AI systems for autonomous attacks. They form a swarm of loyal wingmen, working together, coordinating, and supporting each other in combat. There are drones in the sky and unmanned ships and submarines in the water. These are even more terrifying, as they fundamentally change the way aircraft carriers need to defend themselves. Traditional aircraft carriers rely on mixed fleets and anti-submarine helicopters to create a robust defensive perimeter, designed to guard against large threats like Type 055 or Type 052 destroyers or submarines. However, unmanned boats are small, fast, and hard to detect. Deploying 1,000 unmanned boats would be even more devastating than launching 1,000 torpedoes. The key issue, just like with drones, is that these unmanned boats are nearly invisible. They can't be detected by radar or anti-submarine helicopters. And even if they are spotted, what can you do? Each unmanned boat is cheap. Are you going to use anti-ship missiles against them? That doesn't seem cost-effective either. Even the Houthi militia, a relatively primitive force, constantly uses drones to attack U.S. warships. Although their numbers are insufficient to create a saturation attack, they've still managed to keep U.S. ships incredibly busy. Moreover, using a multi-million-dollar anti-ship missile to destroy a small unmanned boat worth only a few $1,000s is simply unsustainable. If things continue like this, a country could go bankrupt just trying to keep up. So, seeing all this, I can't help but think that if the rules of warfare don't change in the future, we might always be at a disadvantage. But if the rules of warfare do change, then our unmanned weapons could feel like cheating. How would others even compete? We truly need to give a big round of applause to our defense industry. They've given us an incredible sense of security. Having talked about what's in the sky, let's move on to the ground, specifically, the robotic dogs on display. They run faster than humans, can dive into water or rivers and keep fighting, and remain completely still and silent when lying in wait. They don't fear death or feel hesitation, and their shooting accuracy might even surpass mine. The key is that their cost is extremely low. Training a soldier of this caliber would require significant time and money, but with AI models, you can easily replicate a large number of robotic dogs that are even more capable than secret agents in the movies. Imagine a swarm of robotic dogs, each like a version of 007, coming at you with the determination to go down together. Just picturing that scenario feels utterly hopeless. If you make them bigger and equip them with high-speed cannons, wouldn't they basically become the Mobile Suits Gundam from sci-fi works? Who would still need tanks or armored vehicles then? So, the biggest lesson from the Russia-Ukraine war is that seemingly low-tech and inexpensive civilian drones have completely upended modern warfare, turning it into asymmetric warfare. With these kinds of equipment, haven't the rules of war already been rewritten? Some might argue that the US also has advanced unmanned equipment and AI systems. But even if they do, I believe that warfare ultimately comes down to a nation's industrial production capacity. Why did the US win in World War II? Because it was the world's leading industrial power at the time, churning out warships, tanks, and planes like they were dumplings, and relentlessly supplying them to Europe and other battlefields. In the end, it was sheer industrial production capacity that defeated Japan and Germany, and along the way, the US also managed to support the Soviet Union. And now, who is the world's manufacturing powerhouse? It's China. China's manufacturing scale is now dozens of times that of the United States. Moreover, the US has seen its manufacturing sector hollow out. So, when it comes to producing a robotic dog or a drone, our costs might only be 1/10 of theirs. Plus, we can produce various types of equipment at speeds up to 10 times faster than the US. In the end, it all comes down to who can produce drones in greater numbers, faster, and who has the strongest industrial capacity for manufacturing unmanned weapons. So, when Trump appointed a retired captain and former TV host as Secretary of Defense, he might have thought that this problem is essentially unsolvable. I've often said that in business, you need to think different. In the same way, the competition between nations also requires thinking different, not following your opponent's rules, but creating my own set of rules. Everyone should stop comparing things like whose tank has the toughest frontal armor or whose armor-piercing rounds are the thickest. If you keep comparing in these traditional ways, you'll only find yourself lagging behind, and catching up becomes much harder. But now, the competition is about drones targeting the vulnerable areas of a tank, like the top or the engine at the rear. A small drone can drop a mortar shell, a large grenade, or a firebomb, and the tank is neutralized. This is the change in the rules of the game. A few nuclear-powered submarines might struggle to break through an aircraft carrier group's defensive perimeter. Dozens of fighter jets might also have difficulty penetrating its air defense. But how can they cope with thousands of drones, unmanned submarines, and autonomous torpedoes? Such a saturation attack, I believe, would overwhelm any aircraft carrier group. So, when it comes to drones, China is far ahead, and there shouldn't be any controversy about that. Speaking of Boston Dynamics' robotic dog, I saw it at MIT too. It walks slowly and leisurely. China has only been researching this for a few years, and it's already much more advanced than Boston Dynamics robots. It can run faster than a human, jump, do flips. No matter how you kick it, it won't fall over. And if it does fall, it can get back up on its own. When I was working in cybersecurity and just founded 360, I also thought that the US led the world in cybersecurity technology. At that time, when we were building the National Internet Defense System, I couldn't help but wonder to myself one day, when we face off against America's national-level hackers, will we be able to detect them? It turned out they weren't so invincible. We ended up helping the nation uncover 54 intelligence agencies and cyber-military-backed hacker groups from other countries targeting, infiltrating, and lurking in China. In front of 360 cybersecurity radar and early warning systems, they were completely exposed. So, I've been thinking about another issue. These unmanned vehicles will rely on AI for control in the future. How can we ensure that our AI remains globally leading while also guaranteeing that it's fully under our control, ensuring it won't malfunction or turn against us? The rapid development and security of AI are indeed critically important. It's no exaggeration to say that AI will be a decisive factor in the outcome of great power competition in the future. I mentioned in a previous video that China's large language models are already on par with those of the US. Yet, some people still underestimate themselves, always thinking that China lags behind the US in everything. Actually, seeing is believing. You can download the 360 AI search app and try out its AI search features for yourself. We've teamed up with 16 domestic large language model companies to launch a hybrid model assistant. With access to 50 different large models that can collaborate and complement each other, it's completely free to use. Everyone shouldn't assume that ChatGPT is necessarily better than what we have. In the past, their technology was indeed superior to ours, just like their cars were better than ours back then. But now, our smart connected vehicles have completely outclassed imported luxury cars, redefining what it means to be a luxury automobile. So, never underestimate our country's tech companies. Even though we started from humble beginnings and worked tirelessly for years, when we domestic manufacturers unite, it's still uncertain who will have the last laugh between China and the US. So, I think everyone should quickly learn how to use AI and understand AI as a way to serve the country. If everyone in our country can use AI, it will boost each individual's productivity. This is the concept of strengthening the nation through AI. That's why I often do AI popularization, promote AI knowledge, and introduce AI products. This isn't advertising, it's about hoping that everyone becomes proficient in AI capabilities. Remember to subscribe to stay updated on the latest trends in AI technology. Back to the Zhuhai Airshow, which piece of equipment did you like the most? Do you think we now have the ability to change the rules of warfare? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and next time, let's chat about the J-35 and J-20.